Our next round is called This Is My, where we bring on a mystery guest who has a close connection to one of our panellists. This week, each of Lee's team will claim it's them that has the genuine connection to the guest, and it's up to David's team to spot who's telling the truth. So please welcome this week's special guest, Jerry. So, Sian, what is Jerry to you?
This is Jerry, and he was the policeman who came to investigate when I was heard screaming during a Christmas game of Twister.
Right, Sian's concerned copper. James, how do you know Jerry?
This is Jerry. He's the fireman who every Boxing Day soaks me with water during a festive game of squirt.
Right, James's fireman friend. And finally, Lee, what's your relationship with Jerry?
This is Jerry. He's the paramedic who ticked me off last Christmas after I landed my drone in his ambulance.
David's team, where to begin?
Sian, you were playing Twister.
Yep.
What was the occasion?
It was in between Christmas and New Year, and me and my family had gone away and rented a cottage.
And why did you scream?
Because I think I had my left hand on red and right foot on green.
Tricky.
Tricky. And we'd all had a few drinks, and...
What was the time? What time of day?
Oh, it was evening.
Right.
It was evening. I'd say about 10:30ish.
OK.
And my uncle fell on my face and I screamed. And you would scream, wouldn't you? You would scream.
Was he a friendly uncle?
Very friendly.
If you've been affected by any of the issues raised in tonight's show, there is a website you can visit.
It wasn't a horrific scream. It was fun. I was having fun. I was just a bit hysterical.
Could you reproduce it, Sian? Could an actress of your stature reproduce it for us now? Imagine, Lee, is this uncle who's a little too friendly. You're never that happy when he turns up, no matter how many presents you think, oh, it's Uncle Lee. Oh.
I like the way that you said she's a good actress, so she could play the part of the screamer, but I could just play the untoward uncle naturally.
So, there you are. Well, why don't you demonstrate the Twister? James, what are you doing?
Playing the Twister mat.
It wasn't a scary scream. It was like a... because I was having fun scream.
How did the neighbour next door hear it if it was just a little scream?
Did the uncle let out anything as well? Did
I certainly did not.
So what happens then? So suddenly there's a knock on the door.
Yeah.
And what happens when Jerry arrives?
Well, we're all just having fun at this point. We've all had a few drinks. We all invite Jerry in, see if Jerry wants a sherry. He was really lovely about it.
All right.
So is there a police station in this village? And they're all on duty at Christmas week, are they?
There's always got to be a policeman on duty somewhere.
To look out for madmen like you pushing donkeys down lanes. Now, what about James?
OK, James.
Just remind us, James, what it was that you said.
Jerry is the fireman who every Boxing Day soaks me with water during a festive game of squirt.
Oh.
OK. What's going on?
Squirt is a game.
Is it?
Yeah. 2 teams of firemen.
OK, so that's... For a game of squirt, the first thing you need is 2 teams of fire.
And they go either side of a river.
Yeah.
And you get a rope, and you tie it up in a tree at one side of the river, and then you run it along and you tie it to a tree at the other side of the river.
Yeah.
But before you've tied it to the other side, you thread a barrel across it.
Of course you do.
You just thread a barrel.
Yeah. What if there's a fire in the local area during the lengthy setup for a game of squirt?
Well, he's not... They can't put out fires anyway. He's only volunteer.
Sorry?
They're just a volunteer fire brigade. They're not allowed to put out fires.
What are they allowed to do? Just look at them?
They are permitted to pick up litter.
get the fire engines and everything from there?
Their fire engine's an old one. It's more like a ice cream van that's painted red.
The volunteers, do they have the uniforms?
No. The Kettering Volunteer Fire Brigade have a T-shirt and it has an emblem on it of a fire being put out by a beer.
Talk us through the rules of squirt.
OK. You get the barrel to the middle of the rope, right in the middle of the rope, and then both teams aim their hoses at it.
Are the volunteer firemen allowed real water, or do they just mime it?
No, they're allowed water, they just can't aim it at a fire.
OK.
If there was a fire, they would have to turn the hose off.
Right.
So what happens next?
Someone's like, go! And then they both turn their hoses on and they aim it at the barrel. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the barrel, trying to squirt it along the rope so it gets to the opposition side of the bank. And all the water is hitting this barrel, and we're standing on the bridge. Getting soaked.
Yeah.
And then you walk home going, good squirt this year.
Right, now then, what about Lee?
How did you come to land the drone in Jerry's ambulance?
We have this really weird tradition in our house where we like to keep dry. And so I thought, what I'll do is I'll fly my drone, but I'll stay in the house. And the window was open, and I thought...
The window was open because it was a very hot Boxing Day.
The window was open. The window was open because my wife always has the heat on very high over Christmas, and I'm not a fan of radiators, so I opened the window. Yeah. And I was practising in the bedroom, and I thought, I'm so in control of this, rather than go downstairs and fly it, I'm just going to go straight out the window. Was
the drone a Christmas present?
The drone was a Christmas present, correct.
Who gave you a drone for Christmas?
Not you, because you got me nothing.
Yeah.
It was my wife.
Your wife got you... It's a very romantic present. A drone.
A drone. She'd heard me say it to her a lot during the year. Drone, drone, drone.
Why was there an ambulance there? Had your wife called it as a precautionary measure?
The ambulance was actually the house over the road, and as I was flying the drone, I looked over, and a man was carried out on a stretcher. And I think, can't quite see what's going on, but I thought I'll have a little look at that. And my drone has a camera attached to it, so I fly my drone over. That's getting closer and closer. You know, I'm getting quite a good...
It can help, I think, when someone's just had a heart attack or something. Something shocking or strange can really helps them really get it together.
I thought so. And so I was watching it and I thought, this is interesting. And then he gets put in the back of the ambulance and the doors stay open and Jerry goes in the back. I think, I'll have a little look, see what's going on. So I get a bit closer. And now I'm hovering just outside the back doors.
Yeah.
And I pushed forward a little bit too much and the drone went straight into the back of the ambulance, striking Jerry on the back.
This presumably hurt Jerry because the rotors of a drone are very fast.
Yeah, yeah, he was a good 3 or 4 inches taller than this last year.
So Jerry spots you leaning out of your bedroom window with a remote control. What does he then do?
Oi! I said, give me my drone back! I can't really repeat what he said on television.
Okay, he swore.
Because... No, he's French and I don't understand French.
We need an answer. So, David's team. Is Jerry Sean's concerned copper, James's fireman friend, or Lee's peeved paramedic?
Oh, I don't. I mean...
I think it's James's.
You think it's James's?
Yeah. I think it's Sean.
I mean, I think we're agreed Lee is lying.
Yeah.
The question is it James or Sean?
I think it's a mate of James's from the pub who was a volunteer fireman.
I'm not happy about this. Because my instinct is that James is telling the truth.
Right.
But I know what that's saying publicly. I know what I am then believing. I'm believing a game that is played across a river between volunteer firemen with a souped-up ice cream van and squirting a barrel in which the locals come and stand and watch in just the place where they get splattered with water.
What's it going to be?
I think it's James.
You're going to go with James?
Yeah. Go on, Sam, say it's James.
Would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Jerry, and I'm a volunteer fireman who soaks drains on Boston Day.
Hello, Jerry.
Yes, Jerry is James's fireman friend. Thank you very much, Jerry. So please welcome this week's special guest, Jake. So, Oti, what is Jake to you?
This is Jake, and on the German version of Strictly, I knocked his tooth out with a high kick.
So, Oti's damaged dancer. James, how do you know Jake?
This is Jake. When he split up with his girlfriend, everyone blamed me instead of him.
Right, James's breakup buddy. And finally, Lee, what is your relationship with Jake?
This is Jake. I once knocked him into a grave with a frisbee.
So there we have it. Oti's damaged dancer, James's breakup buddy, or Lee's frisbeed friend. David's team, where to begin?
OK, so why were you on German Strictly?
Oh, so I live in Germany, and that's where the UK version found me.
And Jake was your...
He was the celebrity.
What does he do?
He's a weatherman.
He's a weatherman.
Wetterman.
What is he?
Wetterman.
He's a German weatherman.
But he's very talented because he's a weatherman. I mean, this is difficult to do.
Well,
and he can dance. I have a lot of admiration for the weatherman and weatherwomen.
Yeah, but that's all you're doing is showing people to tables. It probably looks really skillful.
How good a dancer was he? Because on Strictly, you often have people that aren't very good.
We made it up to week 9.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, in German, that's 0, so it means week 0.
Nine means no.
It's close enough, Rob. It's close enough as a joke.
9 does not mean 0.
It means week no, OK?
No,
just let it go.
No, because the joke doesn't work.
Well, I think you'll find that all us lot disagree.
So what happened? You said you hit him?
Yeah, so this was during a live show, right? And the worst part is, that was the end of the number. So you have to go there and stand by the judges.
No, the worst part is he knocked his tooth out. Typical dancer mentality, and the worst thing is we got judged terribly.
Did you get through to the next week?
Yeah, it's Germany. They vote.
Germany have got a terrible history for voting for the wrong person, don't they?
Yeah.
Why is that an ooh? Surely you would agree with that. Yeah. Why is that contentious?
Yeah,
is that a room splitter?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we liked Adolf Hitler.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm just contemplating the rise of fascism.
What about James?
James, what's the scenario?
This is Jake, and when he split with his girlfriend, everyone blamed me instead of him.
Why?
Because I had to deliver the news.
What do you mean?
We wrote a letter together. We were like 15, and it was Jake's first girlfriend, and he hadn't got experience of how to break up with people. And to be fair, not even less. And we decided, he's like, I've got to break up with her, and I don't know how to do it.
Why has he got to break up with her?
They weren't really clicking, they didn't have much chemistry.
Right.
Did you write it together?
Yeah, we wrote it together in a field.
Do you remember that letter at all?
It was, I remember it started off with, Dear Yvonne, this is the hardest letter I've ever had to write.
Why were you in the field?
We liked to go for a lot of walks, me and Jake.
I can see what's happening here. Am I the only one that knows what's happening here?
Why didn't he write it on his own? Why you?
Because I think he was worried he would say the wrong thing, and so we tried to, like...
So he wanted to make sure?
Yeah, it's like, maybe we can work on it together, and we sat down in the field and we wrote this letter.
And can you remember more of the text?
I know that it didn't really drop the bombshell until a little bit in, because I remember when I gave it to her, to begin with, she was very excited to receive a letter from Jake.
Oh.
And then she was going through.
Did you stand there while she was reading the letter?
Yeah.
You stood there?
Well, I stood there. So she was in my form.
Yeah.
So I had to go over to her table and go, oh, this is from Jake. And she was like, oh, Jake's given me a letter. And then all the girls on the table were like, yes!
Why did you give it to in front of other people?
I was 15 years old. You're a grown man.
Did she look at you, like, did she blame it on you straight away?
Yeah, as soon as they all got to that bit, they all looked at me and were like, and were really furious with me and really angry.
Right.
Yeah.
I see.
And Jake was, I mean, Jake's a wild boy. They kind of expected it from him.
When you say wild, what exactly do you mean?
He went through a phase when he used to jump in the school long jump pit naked. He played Mr. Hyde in a play and licked a girl's face. I was in a band with him.
Really?
Yeah, he was a keyboard player, but he couldn't play keyboard, so we turned it all the way down. Then we chucked him out the band and he smashed his keyboard up in the woods.
He really is a wild man. All right. Now, what about Lee?
So, Lee, what's this grave frisbee
Just remind us, Lee.
This is Jake, and I once knocked him into a grave with a frisbee.
So, how did that happen?
Well, there was a frisbee, and it hit him, and he fell in the grave. I mean... What more do you need to know, David?
Were you in a cemetery?
I was just on the edge of a cemetery. I was on the other side of a wall of a cemetery.
Mm-hmm. And so, what were you playing with? A friend? Kids?
Yeah, I find frisbee on my own quite hard. I know what you're thinking of. You're thinking of this is Jake, and I once hit him with a boomerang, and he fell into a grave.
So, who were you playing frisbee with?
With my son.
And how high was the wall of this cemetery?
It was about... it's quite low. It's about 3 foot, 4 foot. Just a very, very low wall.
In French?
No, it was in the countryside in England.
No, because 3 foot, 4 foot is what in French? I don't know.
It is 4 foot. No, sorry, it's 4 foot.
What was he doing in the cemetery?
What was he doing?
Yeah.
He was actually the grave digger. Look at his face. Of course, I'm telling the truth. I say grave digger, I mean body snatcher.
Why were you there? Were you on holiday?
I just was having a day out to some church my wife wanted to see. So my wife and my son and me, we went off. We went off to a field, had a look at a church. My wife loves the church, so she had a look at the church. Me and my son are not interested in church. Are you all right there? And I said, well, me and you, we always take a frisbee because everywhere she goes and looks at, we're often on Oxford Street when she's shopping.
So how did she find out about that particular church?
She went on Google when she was looking about slugs.
So how did he fall in the grave?
Because he was looking at his hole. The hole he just dug, and he obviously just finished. He was very proud. It's a 6-foot hole. It takes a long time to dig a 6-foot hole. Trust me, I know. I've buried a few. And he's looking down, thinking, I finally finished. And but as luck would have it, my son missed it, went over his head, hit him on the back of the knee, and he's gone straight in.
OK.
How did you know he fell into the grave?
How do I know he fell in the grave? Because there was a fella stood there and then he wasn't.
All right, we need an answer. So, David's team. Is Jake Oatie's damaged dancer, James's break-up buddy, or Lee's frisbeed friend?
I don't buy the dancing, but I think James's story is very plausible, and they look alike anyway.
That's not a rule.
They're not claiming to be brothers, they're claiming to be friends.
Well, you have to have a reason. That's my reason. There you go.
What are you thinking, Danny?
James. I really believe this story.
Yeah. David?
Yeah, I think probably James.
Oh, OK. There's no doubt within your team, David.
There's no doubt.
We think we know, and which is absurd, because, of course, we don't. But,
Jake, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Jake, and James helped me break up with my girlfriend.
Yes, Jake is James's break-up buddy. Thank you very much, Jake. So please welcome this week's special guest, Mick. So, Gabby, what is Mick to you?
This is Mick, and I deliberately tripped him up during the wheelbarrow race at my son's sports day.
OK, James, how do you know Mick?
This is Mick, and for 6 months, he was my sworn enemy when a practical joke got out of hand.
Then finally, Lee.
This is Mick. He's my son, and I'm only allowed to see him every second Friday. Sorry, no, that's not it. This is Mick. I once took him home from nursery instead of my own son.
So there we have it. Is Mick Gabby's cheated child, James's feuding friend, or Lee's traded toddler? David's team, where would you like to begin?
Well, Gabby, the wheelbarrow race, you were also a competitor. What was the format of the race, and how did the accident
Your
happen?
classic sports day wheelbarrow race. Child is the wheelbarrow. I was driving my son as a wheelbarrow, and Mick's mum, Barbara, was driving him. And there's always a lot... I feel our family gets a lot of pressure on sports day because my husband was an international rugby player and I did sport. And people always look at us as if they're the ones to beat. You know, I always feel that added dimension of competitiveness.
You were a rhythm gymnastic, weren't you?
I was a gymnast.
Yeah, I think they're looking more at him. Carry on.
So we were in the lead, my son and I. And you know, like in your peripheral vision, you can feel somebody coming. And as we got to the turn, they were level with us, and my son's arm buckled, and which is for a wheelbarrow race is a bit of a no-no. So it takes you a couple of seconds to recover. So now we're behind.
Quite painful for your son as well. Perhaps that should be the main concern.
Classic sports person. Oh,
That's a no-no! We need this!
We got back level with them, and I'm ashamed, obviously, about what happened next. So I can feel, you know, these horrible thoughts coming into my mind. You know, we could take him out. You know, we could.
Wow! Come on, this is why we've been taking all the drugs.
And I stood on his hand, and so I know.
Deliberately.
You were thinking we should take him out.
So he then slightly buckled. So
Which is a no-no.
He got himself back into the race, and I decided that I couldn't let us win because that could be construed in some people's eyes as cheating, standing on the opposition's hands.
And in some people's eyes, physical assault.
So I had to then sabotage us because I couldn't let us win. So I deliberately kind of pushed my son into the ground.
So you assaulted 2 children.
I kind of just, you know, pretended to trip onto Reuben. So, right. And then his arms buckled, double buckle, which is a no.
No.
And that meant...
Reuben is your boy?
Yes, oh gosh, yes, yes, yeah.
You know, the one with the face like that.
All right, who would you like to speak to next?
OK, James, so Mick became your sworn enemy because of a practical joke?
That got out of hand.
That got out of hand.
Yes.
So what was the practical joke or prank?
First of all, I'll say for the record, before we carry on, I hate this boy. I'm nothing but content for him, and I'm furious he's got on this show.
I just think I feel I can only see him every second Friday.
So what was the practical joke, James?
He put cabbage leaves in my bed.
How did he get in your room?
I was staying at his house.
On a sleepover? How old are you?
A few years ago.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't have been born.
He was 9.
And you were, what, 31?
I was, what, 28? 29?
And how do you know him?
I know his dad. He's his son.
And you were staying at their house?
Yes.
Why did he put cabbage leaves? Why is that a thing?
Well, it's not a thing until he started doing it.
Yeah.
There's something severely wrong with him. I don't know why he started.
But you say
this kind of
started doing it. Was
yeah.
It, what do you mean? This is a one occasion when you're staying there. Well, I don't know.
This is the first of many, David. I said got out of hand. I do not use those words lightly.
So you regularly stay at the house of...
Oh, no. Oh. This little man does not restrict these pranks to his own house. He has no respect for anyone's privacy and will cross any boundaries available to him. I hate him with all my heart.
Yeah. So he initially put cabbage leaves in the bed you were sleeping in when you were staying at his father's.
Yes.
Right? And then subsequently...
Yes.
He has followed you and put cabbage leaves in other places you've been sleeping.
No.
OK? What then?
He sent me a cabbage in the post. He sent me half a cabbage, cling-filmed, in a box. I was out when they delivered it. I had to go to the post office to pick it up. There was a note inside that said, "You got cabbaged again."
So, OK, so he's doing that. Did you, bearing in mind that this is a minor, did you at any...
It was a major, as far as I'm concerned.
Did you at any point retaliate?
Yeah, but it took me 6 months.
What did you do?
After 6 months of this...
Well, but you say 6 months of this.
Yeah.
What is this? There's the initial cabbage leaves in the bed at his house, and there's the posted half cabbage.
Yeah.
Anything else?
His granddad cabbaged me to my face.
What does that mean?
He gave me a present. It was all wrapped up nice. I thought it was a nice present. I unwrapped it. It was another half a cabbage wrapped in cling film. Members of the public started cabbaging me. I made the mistake of talking about it on the radio, and then everyone got the idea, and I couldn't turn up to a gig without there being a cabbage hidden somewhere in my dressing room.
Well, thank God you're playing safe and not saying it on telly, eh? Yeah.
So, did you retaliate?
Absolutely did. I removed all of his belongings from his bedroom and replaced them with cabbages.
That's, I would say, a disproportionate response.
6 months of my life, David. 6 months of my life of not knowing where the next cabbage was coming from. It was horrible. I had to go big. I've been cabbaged so many times. Somebody started a Twitter account, was tweeting pictures of cabbages on me every day. They said stuff like, "Oi, oi, Savoy." It was horrible.
And that was just the tip of the iceberg.
It's a lettuce, you idiot!
Oh, but come on, cut me some slack!
No. I would say that anyone who can enjoy that joke about a lettuce would have to be a sociopath.
All right, on to Lee.
Lee, remind us of your story.
This is Mick. I once took him home from nursery instead of my own son.
Why did you not recognise your own son by using your eyes and knowing what he looks like?
I do recognise my own son. But we had this new pram, and the pram... I put him in the pram. He was very young at the time, because, well, you have to go to nursery. And I put him in the pram.
At nursery?
Not a pram, a push
They're
buggy.
in a pram when they're sort of tiny.
A pushchair, you make one mistake. You say lettuce instead of cabbage. They're on your back. You say pram instead of pushchair. I get to see him every other week. I'm stressed. I put him in the pushchair, and then I got chatting to all the other mums and dads and stuff. Got chatting, turned round. Little did I realise that one of the other parents had exactly the same pushchair, and because he was asleep, I just didn't bother talking to him because I thought he was asleep. Pushed him and got all the way home. Long walk as well, because he goes to school in London and we live in Aberdeen.
How long was it before you realised?
Probably Glasgow. It was about... believe it or not, preferably do.
Yeah, that's very much the question.
Believe it or not, it was as I went into the front door and I pushed him towards my wife, who was coming towards me, and she said, "That is not my son."
But the other mother would have recognised her
Yes.
child, so let's go to the other mother.
Let's go to the other mother.
What happened there?
So, obviously, I'm not there to see the other mother. Because
No, but presumably in the police interview later, you've gone through those details.
No, I knew it would be a bit of a nerve-wracking experience, so I thought I'd better play safe and just keep him. And that's what we did. We just ended up bringing up another child. So I got into the house, pushed him into the house. My wife said, that's not my son. So I went, oh! I realised immediately what had happened, obviously. I turned round and I raced back to the school very quickly. So I got in just in time for them to go, what are you? And then...
So you got back just in time.
Got back in time.
Just before Mick's mother was going to start screaming,
So
my child has disappeared, my child has disappeared.
Yeah, because what had happened is she was getting a bit frantic, but someone had calmed her down by doing the obvious and pointing to the child and saying, use your logic here.
Yeah.
There's a
child abductors don't tend to leave a child as well.
So, David's team. Is Mick Gabby's cheated child?
Maybe.
James's feuding friend?
Maybe.
Or Lee's traded toddler?
No.
I think that the cabbages, that is a good trick, because cabbages, when they get warmed up, stink. I also have, been to many a sports day where the parents do get incredibly competitive. I would probably lean towards Gabby.
What about you, Melvin? Which way are you leaning?
I believe Gabby, but James is just weird, so I believe him even more.
Your paranoid view seems to be the whole country's in on it. Now everyone's sending you cabbages.
Every time people laugh at me, I suspect they're my enemy, which makes my job very difficult.
You think Gabby, but James even more.
And David thinks it's me, so...
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. James.
You're going for James. Mick, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Mick, and I am James's worst enemy.
Mick is James's feuding friend, and here's the proof that is what James did to Mick's bedroom. Thank you very much, Mick.